It just feels so odd.
It actually does. I don't know what to do. I feel like I want to take my jacket. I don't know. I feel a bit hot.
Oh, exposed.
I'm going to work later, so got my work top on. What are we doing?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is our first ever podcast episode. Why are we both sat so formally? We both got our hands on the table, like
the point of a podcast
crossed.
is that you can sit back and relax.
We can chill out as long as you're in the shot. We are actually filming this as well, guys.
Yes.
But today we are bringing you our first ever podcast episode.
I actually can't believe it.
I can't believe it. This has been in the pipeline for a little while now.
Yeah.
How long would you say?
Well, I don't know. I feel like we've always had the thought in the back of our minds, so from H podcast could happen one day. But I'd say the past 2 months, it's been more of like, would you say that 2 months?
Yeah.
It's been like a real, how are we going to make this work?
Yeah, I think basically we got to a point with the YouTube where we were like, we love YouTube. We love filming videos.
YouTube, if you're watching, listening.
YouTube, shout out YouTube.
No shade.
But we love to chat. And that is the main reason that we started a channel, because we essentially just wanted to capture some of the conversations we had. And we were like, YouTube just makes sense. But on reflection, it doesn't really make sense. A podcast makes sense.
But I would say as well, I mean, nowadays every man and their dog has a podcast.
Yeah.
So we're hardly doing something new and original here. But I would say, so we started the YouTube in 2020, nearly 3 years ago now. And podcasts obviously were a thing, but I think they're a lot more popular now. Yeah. Way more people are listening to them.
I don't know if you guys, see these kind of social media people, but like, for example,
so old then.
Sorry.
These people on the
influencers,
interweb.
But suddenly, out of nowhere, I feel like every single YouTuber, Saffron Barker, I'm thinking,
Safi B, Olivia Neal,
all
of the and all the TikTok people are coming onto podcasts, like GK Barry, the Bags Brothers. Honestly,
who's that?
You don't know the Bags Brothers? No. They're on Gogglebox.
Oh, okay.
They started on Gogglebox, big on TikTok, now they've got a podcast.
Oh, okay. I mean, and to say, we're not copying in that sense of like, jump on the bandwagon. But
no, it wasn't like, crap, we need to jump ship.
But I think in terms of what we're actually trying to do in the content we're trying to make, i.e. chat about things, have long discussions, we realised a podcast probably works better, and also people are listening to podcasts at the moment.
So why flipping not?
Hire Spotify, we're here.
We're here, give us the sponsorship.
We're ready. And you probably have seen from the title of this podcast that we've come up with a little concept, haven't we?
We have indeed. So I guess the general theme of each podcast is going to be this title. It's not just you.
Who blah, blah, blah.
Who ... fill in the blank. And I guess the hope that we have whilst filming and chatting through these things is that we can kind of share those things that we all feel, but often go unspoken. Sometimes you can have those thoughts of, gosh, I feel like I am the only person that feels this or has ever experienced this thing. Or maybe you've chatted with like a few close friends about it, but you wouldn't necessarily go onto YouTube, podcast, whatever, and be like, everyone's talking about this.
Yeah.
And I guess there's also unlimited possibilities, topics, and things that we could talk
Honestly,
about.
Guys, when we came up with that idea, because like So said, we wanted to talk about things that aren't so often spoke about, and we thought, we could name it. At first it was going to be It's Not Just Me, and then we landed with It's Not Just You. And then honestly, we were reeling off topics left, right and centre.
So we've already got the first 60 episodes
I mean,
planned.
I think even between us, we were like, it's not just you who thinks that or thinks that or thinks that. Like it was like, there's so many things we could talk about.
And even like as we've been sharing it with our friends, they've been giving us ones.
Yeah.
So, I'm
like
sure...
basically your weirdest thoughts or your weirdest, I don't know, habits or, things you struggle with. There's just that like feeling of like you say it.
Those
and then you
rogue
realise,
thoughts that come into your mind.
It's not just you and you're like, great, okay.
Sigh of relief. But I think as well, like, hopefully one day we will have guests on. And I think it will just be great for people to bring on their own topics, bring on, the things that they are feeling like. Yeah. And maybe they will come on and we'll sit there and be like, no, it's just you.
Yeah.
Like, no, actually, I've never actually thought
that.
that.
We sit down, we're like, okay, go on then, share your topic. can anyone relate? Another short podcast episode there. No, but today's episode.
Well, do you want to have a catch up first?
Oh, okay.
I mean, not that we haven't spoken.
I mean, yeah.
But that's the whole point of podcast. We can just talk.
Yeah. Anything you want to share with the viewers, Soph?
Well, it's Rachel's birthday tomorrow.
It is, guys.
She is turning
24.
A big fat 24. Eek. Quarter life crisis incoming. Dun, 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 dun.
No, do you know what? I do feel like, I was saying to Soph the other day, was it to you? I think I was saying like 28. I think from like 24, I still feel fairly young. I think 25, I'm starting to feel a bit like, ooh. But 28, for some reason in my head.
Is that the benchmark in your mind?
Is like, oh, wow. Okay.
Nah, mate, when I turned 24, that it hit me. It was like the first
Really?
Yeah, I think because like, I feel like now, when I tell people I'm 24, they're kind of like, oh, in terms of, you're actually obviously not old, but older.
Yeah.
Like I'm not 21,
but
22.
I just think sub 25, come on, you're like early 20s.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I think 24 is the definite start of you're in your mid 20s. Yeah. You've come out of early 20s.
Also, fully aware, obviously in the grand scheme of things, being in your 20s isn't old, you know? I don't know how old the people are who are listening to
anyone
this.
that's 28, we're sorry.
No, it was the realisation of some of my friends are turning, well, we've got a friend turning 27.
Bruv, we've got friends older than 27.
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking
Hi,
about?
Michael.
What are you talking about?
Sorry. But like, I just suddenly visioned myself turning 27 and I was like, oh my days. But anyway, I'm 24.
What are you Bruv, you're 24. Why are you talking about 27 and 28? You've jumped 4 years ahead into the future.
But yeah, no, guys, it is my birthday
What are your
tomorrow.
hopes for the year of being 24?
I said, so someone in the office asked me this earlier this week, and I said, I think 24 is going to be a big year of unknown for me, in the sense of, I don't know, like, I mean, I say that and it's very
Quarter
likely
life crisis.
No, but like when I think about myself turning 25, so this time next year, I think a lot could look different than my current life right now.
I get you. Okay, yeah.
And like
so
I
within
say,
the space of this year, there's the potential for a lot to change.
I think it's going to be a year of transition, basically. And I don't really know what, but, and like also I say that and I just like can also just see me being in the exact same place next year.
Yeah, but you may as well put it out there.
Yeah, I feel like where I'm at in my life, my job, where I'm living, like just everything I just feel like is up in the air.
Everything there's a question mark.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think like it's going to be a year
podcast, gosh, question mark. So from Rach, question mark.
Gosh, everything's a question mark.
But guys, podcast, the beauty of it.
Anywhere
in the world. Hop on Zoom.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like, you know, I'm leaving Birmingham, I've got no idea. But I think that's what I'm saying. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So,
but that's exciting.
Yeah.
Just got to view
I just
it
think
as
so
a big
far,
adventure.
Each of my birthdays, I could probably have told you where I'd have been, because it's been like uni, job, then even in like I did an internship and it was like, we'll probably be in some kind of job in Birmingham. Then like my job was changing. Whereas now it's a bit like, oh, don't know.
It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, so guys, watch this space. I don't really know. But I was saying to Sophie earlier, I have found the whole birthday process a bit stressy.
Oh, gosh.
So posted some stories on our Instagram yesterday asking like how people find planning their birthdays, whether they're like go all in, whether they prefer to be all out or like somewhere in the middle. She did text me after going, was that weird to put on the story?
I don't know. I've just been, do you know what I mean though? But in terms of, well, yeah, so I feel like with Instagram anyway, you're putting stuff up and you're like, I don't know if anyone cares.
Yeah. But it was actually quite interesting.
80 votes on the poll. So I'd say that's pretty good engagement.
And what was the percentage split?
I'd say most people were middle. So the first option was, go big or go home. Middle, kind of like, keep it chill, but let's do something.
Yeah.
Last one was like, don't bother. So I think most people are in that middle ground. But I would say, like I was saying on my story, if you didn't see it, I just think the older I get, the more I'm like, it really is quite mixed.
Yeah.
Some people just genuinely
But it is, I think even if you like a big thing, which to be honest, I probably, do
fall
lean
more into
towards,
that category.
Yeah. It is just always a bit stressful.
The
dynamics, guys.
Rife.
The dynamics the dynamics are rife. You know, you try and pull together a list.
It's the web. It's like
the web.
The
You've
webs
got
of
the
connections.
core people that you really want there because they're your mates and your journey your life with them. But then with each mate, there's a wider circle of, you know, oh, well,
they're friends with them.
Yeah, they're friends with them. And
they're going to chat to them and say,
so it's been...
Suddenly, so-and-so's dog sitters come in.
Yeah.
Because you felt bad and you've sent them a last minute invite.
But you know what? I actually felt fine about it. This morning I had, so the drinks are tonight.
The drinks
are tonight. And let me tell you.
Rach doesn't know what she's wearing.
No, I don't know what I'm wearing yet.
Any
It's not going to be like, no, I'm not.
You're going big?
No.
Feather boa. Tiara.
Guys, this is also a little difference that you'll probably soon realise with Soph and I. Soph would be going big.
No, not nowadays.
No, not now. But yeah, I don't know.
It's just, I would probably think more of these things in advance. I think I just like to know.
I don't know why I've not thought. To be honest, this
I
whole
know what I'm
thing's
wearing tonight.
Oh, do you? What?
Yeah.
Oh.
I couldn't possibly say.
No, go on. What are you wearing?
I'm probably going to wear, well, I say probably, it's literally laid out in my room in my bed.
Oh my days.
I feel like going to a year 6 disco.
What is it?
That top that you got me for my birthday.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, that is
lovely, that.
White trousers.
Oh, yeah, nice. Have you ever worn that top?
Yeah.
I just can't think of where
I
you
wore it
actually
to Millie's birthday the other year, and I've worn it to, I mean, to be fair, you got it me in COVID.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lovely hand-sewn top, guys. If you've not heard of the brand Grey Milk, go check it out on Instagram.
Handmade clothes.
Handmade
and
clothes.
They're sick.
Anyway, hopefully the birthday will be good tonight.
I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will.
Party late into the night.
But yeah, should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the topic for this week's podcast is go.
It's not just you who
struggles when their friends get into relationships.
Oh, I actually had a mind blank then.
I knew. What are you doing?
No, I knew what it was, but I couldn't think of the word.
Let's just try that.
I couldn't think of the wording that we decided on.
Okay, this week's episode. Sorry, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Right, I'll say that and then you say the title. So, guys, this week's episode is...
It's not just you who struggles with their friends getting into relationships.
Yeah. Oh.
Beefy.
I think...
Go on, what do you
To
think?
some degree, surely everyone has experienced in part this feeling.
Yeah. I think, do you know why? I guess why we've chosen this is that it's not just you kind of unspoken thing. I guess is the whole... I guess you're supposed to be happy when your friends get in relationships, aren't you? You're supposed to be like... And I'm sure there's part of you that is happy.
Yeah.
But there's also the part of you that's sometimes a bit like...
Yeah, that's the thing. Obviously, I think we've all been in a situation where it's like... whether it's about this topic or not, where you know you're supposed to be supporting a friend, you know you're supposed to be over the moon that, you know, they've met a wonderful guy and they're really happy and they're telling you that it's moving towards becoming official and then it's official, but inwardly you're just like, cool. Like the reality is our friendship is going to like shift. And it could be one of those things where it's like, you never see them again.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, I think most people will have had a bad experience where they've had a friend ditch them and because of a boy. Yeah. Like boyfriend comes in.
Oh, where's that person anymore?
See you never.
Oh, guys, you're not going to lie. Yeah, that's hard. That is difficult.
Yeah. I guess what we're trying to dig into though is more the feeling of when it is good. Because obviously there'll be times where your mates get into a relationship with a guy and you're like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, this isn't a vibe, so I'm not supporting
this.
And
it's kind of like, I've got a reason to not like them. Yeah. I guess this is more like they're genuinely great guy, relationship's really healthy, everything's going well, but there's just that part of you that's like, oh, I've lost my mate.
So have you ever had that?
Well, yeah.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, I think for me, because I've never had a boyfriend, I kind of feel like it's always me. In terms of like, I'm never the one that's in the relationship or on the other side of like, I've got in a relationship. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed in there.
But have you ever
Like a kind of specific one that comes to mind.
Or like an extreme feeling of like, oh.
Do you? Have you got one on the top of your head?
Not particularly, because I think for me, when I was reflecting earlier, it's really interesting because essentially, like basically two of my closest mates, Soph and Cree, this girl called Cree, you've both never had boyfriends.
That is so true.
So like, I have had close friends who have got into relationships, and yeah, I have struggled a bit with it where it's like, I just don't see them anymore, and I've had to kind of make peace with that or, you know, get used to it. But I think for me, it would be a whole different ball game of trying to navigate if you or like Cree, like let's say if I was living closer to Cree, got into relationships, I think that would be a like if I imagine tomorrow you start dating a boy, I would struggle with that. And no matter how happy I was for you, it's just the concept of I now have to share this person with someone else. And for me, it's that thing of like, someone goes from being fairly available, fairly up for spontaneity, all that kind of thing, to like not. And that's just a reality of they're now having to split their time with another person, and also like a lot of good quality time with that person. It's not just like, oh, I've got a new friend and I'm going to see them once a week. It's like,
or like, oh, we work together, so that'll do.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, they need to invest in their relationship, so they need to put a lot of time into it. And then it's just like the jarring thing of like, oh, you text, like, you know, you free? And it's like, oh, they're not free anymore. And just having to adjust. And I think there's like a period of adjustment. And then like, I know with other friendships, it's like, I then get more used to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But the initial change I've just found hard.
Yeah. And I think it's also, I think it's when you've gotten used to a dynamic of maybe you and the friend are both single or were both single at a point. And then you're transitioning maybe into one not and one still is. I think for me, with friends that I have where I've always known them to be like in a relationship or married or whatever, that's all you've ever known. So you're kind of, you don't have that expectation of, oh, but we used to hang out like 3-4 times a week, or we used to just be able to make a plan on the evening, whatever it is. So I guess that's a big part of it, is that, you know, this is going to shift quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's just that like anticipation feeling of like, oh, I can't be bothered.
Yeah. Well, because I want to know, obviously I have been in a relationship, and I want to know from your perspective, and like we have like touched on this before, like we have spoken about it between us, but yeah, I mean, I think you'd say it was a unique situation, but how did you find that?
Well, I think I guess this is probably one of the, it's not just you thoughts that I'll share now. It's gosh. So there we go. You're going through like, I guess the period of, you know, it's kind of looking like this relationship's going to come to an end. And obviously
at the end of the relationship.
At the end, so I'm skipping to the end. So it's like, for me, this was,
she's gassed.
This was still, but it was really hard. It was like, this is so painful to see you and the other person who I'm really close with go through this really painful, awful thing. But there was 1% of me that's like, sick, Rachel's going to be single again. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's that thought in your head of like, great.
Yeah,
I've got
like
your
we're just
back.
more on the same page.
Yeah.
Like,
and again, like you said at the start, it's like, oh, I don't have to share you anymore because now you're not in a relationship. Which is so interesting.
It
comes into your head, and you're
I never like really read that from you, because for me with my last breakup, my only breakup. That sounds like I've had 6 breakups. I like, to be honest, when I first kind of told people, or you know, it was heading that way, most people were like, once I'd explained it, they understood and they were on board. But at first it was like, what? And I feel like I took that more from you of like, oh, really? Like, oh, okay. Like, so I never like,
well, like I said,
obviously
99% of me was like, but 1%, I guess it's the kind of like, every cloud has a silver lining. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, it was a really sad time, but then, you know, there's some good that comes out of it, I guess.
And then,
but then at the start, I guess it was quite unique. And I think even just
Because Soph, it was unique, by the way, because Soph was good friends with my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, but also it was a totally different life stage of like, we were at uni.
Yeah.
First year uni as well, where there's just so much free time. There's so much. So in terms of time, you had so much of it. So it never necessarily felt as though,
and also
I'm not getting enough, or suddenly we've, there's only a few evenings a week, and I can't even see you in a week now.
Yeah.
Which now would be the case though, because of jobs.
Yeah. And also we were in a different place in our friendship as well, where it wasn't like necessarily by that point, like we'd only just met and then become friends. But
we were hanging out a lot, and I genuinely, even at the start, can like never really recall thinking, oh, I'm getting kind of annoyed or fed up with the fact that you're always hanging out with your boyfriend. But that was a different life stage. I think now I'd find it really hard.
Yeah. So then
because we don't live together. We don't see each other. There's no kind of crossovers in the week apart from like when we do stuff like this. So you're kind of working with, okay, let's say 5 evenings in a week. Let's be honest, like 2 or 3 of those are going on a boyfriend, and then other friends as well. You've got to try and fit all that in.
Okay, so then how would you say more recently, like, how do you deal with friends getting into relationships? Or like not just taking it away from just you and I, but like in life, obviously we both have a lot of friends who have.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, how do you even go about it?
I don't know, because I think
ultimately there's nothing you can do.
That's the thing.
If a friend's going to start dating a boy, they're going to start dating a boy. And I think half of this conversation is us just naming it is hard and it's okay to find it hard.
Yeah. And I think even, do you know what? I think sometimes you can really start to overthink it, or not overthink it, but almost get in your own head, feeling as though, oh my gosh, am I just like this obsessive person that can't deal with my friend spending time with her boyfriend or another person, whatever. But I think it's naming it as, but if you've gone from one dynamic to a shift, then that is just going to make you feel weird or feel different. And I think it doesn't mean that you're this kind of controlling, like obsessive person. Like, why won't you hang out with me 4 times a week? It used to be 4, now it's only 2.
But like also, aside from the time aspect, there's also just the thing of like, you almost enter a bit of a different life stage when you get into a relationship, where like, not life stage, but like there's this whole new realm of life that you're then part of. Double dates.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're doing life together. Oh, you consult each other. Oh, you're having arguments with a boy. Oh, you're like, and there's just this whole new world that someone enters into. And if you're the mate that is single, it's like, I can't relate. So then like, let's say, for example, I don't know, maybe one of you listening to this, like all of your friends are now in relationships and you're the only single one, and it's like double dates. Oh, not gonna lie, that is annoying. Like where it's like, oh, like you can't go because you're not in a relationship.
That's discrimination.
Couples holidays.
I know. I think, oh gosh, the list goes on. But I think when I was thinking about it as well, I think this is a big part of why it can feel so hard, is because there's the loss of the kind of dynamic or way that the friendship used to work with you, but then you also have to watch your friends you have to watch your friends almost potentially kind of getting closer with other people. Like you say, if they've got new kind of couple friends, they're probably feeling like, oh, these people are more in a similar life stage to me, they're hanging out more. You're like,
it does just feel a bit
what about me?
Yeah, that you're literally just not included in that because you don't have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, but, and at the same time, like, not to say, you know, it's obviously totally fair for people. It's obviously totally fair for people to go away on holidays or hang out in couples, because I get, obviously you can relate, but it's just acknowledging like that is a bit hard sometimes. Like, just invite a few single people along.
Oh, but would you want to go on a holiday with like
no, that's the thing,
2
you
or
don't
3
even
couples?
Go.
I personally wouldn't.
What about like 2-3 couples, then like 5 single people? I wouldn't mind a mix. Because we hang out in a mix.
No, a mix is fine. I think it's more just when, you know, suddenly you're like a 9th wheel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Or when it's like 3 couples and then 2 single people.
And like and it's a girl and a boy, and you're like,
and they're all like,
so we're not dating. Yeah, but I think that's a big part of it as well. Almost you're having to watch a friend almost move on without you. You know, if that's not something that's happened in your life, or you're not in a relationship, you're having to see them kind of experience and move into this whole new, you know, different things to navigate. And you know, it doesn't mean, you know, you can't be friends with people that are in different life stages. But like I said, there will be connections that they'll make with people in a similar life stage, because, you know, there's advice and conversations they can have. You know, I can't.
Although you kind of can. You're kind of a love doctor without ever being in a relationship.
A love doctor? What are you talking about?
No, I just remember so many times where you will have given me advice. Like particularly, when I was with my previous boyfriend. Again, it makes it sound like I've had 6 boyfriends. No, but like Sophie would be like, oh yeah, I think like blah blah blah. Give this like fire advice and be like, but I've never actually had a boyfriend, so I wouldn't know.
I mean, and that's it. It's like you can to some extent, but I think sometimes it is just more helpful to talk to someone who's been through it. And
and this is where I'd say, if like you can have single friends, and we've said this before on our YouTube videos, but if you can have friends that are in a similar life stage to you, it does help.
Yeah.
So like even for those moments, let's say your best mate got into a relationship and she was going on a couple's holiday or a double date, it's lovely for you to be able to have a few single mates you can call on and be like, let's go on holiday now. Yeah. But yeah, it's great to have people that you can relate to in whatever life stage you're in.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I was thinking about this, Dave, that's just something that came to mind. I was like, there's a loss, and then there's also a having to, I guess, almost grieving a bit.
No, it is though. It genuinely is.
Yeah.
Like it's a letting go, and it can be hard, but I don't know, how do you do that healthily? Because you can't ultimately, like I'm sat here being like, oh, we'll just make sure you have other single friends. But like, obviously you don't just bin off a friendship when they get into a relationship.
No.
So
and I think I don't want it to be that thing of, well, all the single people just hang out together and all the couples go on.
Like it's actually beaut to be able to hang out with couples.
Definitely.
So how do you do that though if you're struggling with it?
Oh, sorry, one more thing to add.
Oh.
This just came to my mind. I think we haven't really even touched on at all the difficulty of watching your friend get into a relationship if that's something that you really want.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you really want that, you haven't got it. Mate? If you really want...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean though? I think that's a massive thing that we've not even really...
Yeah, I know.
Like that. I mean, there's not really much to say. It's just hard.
Yeah, it's savage. But
and it's, again, it almost then goes into the whole thing of learning how to celebrate people even when you don't really want to. And you're like, I'm not actually happy for you because I just feel sad for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be hard to push through the feelings that you have about your own life stage, where you're at, the fact that you don't have that, and push through that to get to the point of, do you know what? I can be happy for you.
Yeah. But I would say like it is always just worth the wait, isn't it? Like, because I feel like even in those moments, if you really want a relationship, that could trigger you to just be like, right, next boy I see, like, or like, even just generally the temptation when your friends get into relationships is to try and like get on that. But like, honestly, like, you don't want to do that.
Imagine if you were in a friendship group, let's say girls' friendship.
I know people who are.
No, but let's say girls' friendship group, 5 girls, 6 girls, and they're all in a relationship and you're not.
Yeah, but that will be people listening to this.
I know, but that's horrible.
It is horrible.
I'd hate that.
I know. But that's why I'm saying like have a few other friends maybe.
Yeah, I think that's where you do have to start branching out, isn't it? Because...
And also be honest with your friends. I think that also comes into it, where it's like even I know for me, like I've had conversations with friends where, you know, it is going down that route of like they're going to like potentially have a boyfriend or they're talking to a guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes like half of it can literally just be naming it and being like, oh, like I'm genuinely so happy for you, because obviously you are. Ultimately, everyone wants their friends deep down to thrive and to, you know, find guys that treat them incredibly well and all that kind of thing. So it's like I said that and I was like, oh, but like, you know, I am like also aware, you know, you're probably gonna hang out with them more, and like there's not really like there's no solution. Like I want that to happen. I want my friends to hang out with their boyfriends, but sometimes just naming it and being like, oh yeah, I think I just feel a bit like this about that. Like half the time your friends can read your emotions anyway. So like they probably already know that you're feeling that way.
Yeah.
Especially if you hang out with someone a lot and then like a shift's coming.
Yeah.
But like, I just think like, you've just got to name it sometimes. So
and that's
like,
it. Because I don't think it's massively always about, let's completely change the way we feel about stuff. But I think it's sometimes more just communicating.
Yeah, because even like that example, I think of one girl, you know, in a friendship group of 6. Could you just like grab one of your friends one day, or I don't know, maybe hang out with one of them and just say, oh yeah, if I'm honest, I do find it a bit tricky. And it's not that you're looking for them to feel guilty or change anything, but it's just like, it's like, what's that phrase? Like a problem shared is a problem
shared is a problem had.
Yes, so true. But like it is. Let them know how you're feeling.
Yeah. And I think as well, if your friends are good friends and if your friends love you, like you say, you're not asking them, so can you dump your boyfriend then? Because I don't really like it. You're making them aware. And if your friend, like I said, is a good friend and loves you and wants to love you well, then they'll be aware of that. And they should try and make somewhat of an effort to, I guess even, I don't know, in group situations, just put themselves in your shoes. Oh, how might they be feeling in this moment?
Maybe not sit cuddling the boyfriend.
Maybe like, oh, I should reach out and I should be the one to instigate hanging out, or, you know, having some quality time with them, or dropping them a text, whatever. I think sometimes that's a real telling of like a good friend, where you're not actually 100%. Asking them to change or stop something, but because they're aware of something, they're going to do everything that they can and that is appropriate for them to kind of, you know, within reason.
Yeah. And I do think like if any of you guys like are listening to this and you are in a relationship, you can choose how often you see your friends. Like I do think this is another like part of the conversation where it's like, you don't have to just see your boyfriend. Like it is, it's a hard
balance, but
yeah, like it's obviously like you want to spend time with your boyfriend, but like I would say it ultimately comes down to intentionality and how much you want to see your friends. Like I know that if I got into a relationship, I'm not going to not see Soph, like because I care too much about the friendship. Like it's too much of a deep friendship for me to like be like, okay, so that's Soph gone, like so therefore I would make time. And like obviously you might have to cut things in other areas of your life. Yeah. But like,
I guess the close friendships you have, I guess it's probably the friends on the periphery and the edges that you're going to have to maybe drop.
Yeah.
Because
see ya.
But the fundamental thing is on both sides, like, you know, for me, having been single and kind of seen that happen, you do just get to a point where you're like, well, Fairs, you've only got a certain amount of time. You've just got into a relationship and we're not actually super close. So I can totally see why I've not seen you in ages because maybe we'd hang out a couple of times here or there or in a group, but it's not the depth of friendship that's going to warrant you know, really setting aside time to hang out and all of that. So I guess it's also about the level of friendship, isn't it? Because it'll be different according to where that sits. But I think like you said, naming it is just a big thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else would be kind of helpful or...
I know. I think, like we said, ultimately with this topic, it's just like, do you know what? We relate. If anyone out there's feeling like that, we relate. It is hard. It's an adjustment. But once you've adjusted, it is okay as well. Yeah. Like it's always painful at the start. Even when I think of friends in my lives, I'm like, oh, I found that really hard. But then you just get used to it and you can't even remember what it was like before.
Yeah.
Which in some ways is sad. But in other ways is like, it's life. And if they're going to, you know, want to be with their boyfriend that much, okay.
I think something that's okay, you do you.
Okay, you do you.
I think something that's just come to mind for me is the whole what we were talking about of actually deep down you genuinely are happy for them, but I think sometimes those feelings end up being deep down, and then what's more on the surface is annoyance like
you
they've
gotta
left
dig
me
deep, guys.
And I think sometimes when you push past the surface level, kind of just how you're feeling day to day or in a moment, which could often be annoyed, or you're just kind of like, oh, well, I'm not going to see them then if they're not going to make time for me, that kind of vibe. I think people, or like I know for myself, we need to get better at like pushing past that, and actually
like acknowledge you're being immature.
And actually push down and be like, no, what is the actual core feeling I have? I am genuinely happy for them, because I think the more you can express that and actually verbalize that and tell them, I think it almost starts to become more of the forefront of your mind thought. And like we said, it's fine to feel annoyed or not that pleased that your mate's got in a relationship and you're having to cut down on seeing them or whatever. But I think the more you can actually say, I'm happy for you, it becomes more of that's how you see it. Like I am happy for them.
Yeah, definitely. That's just reminded me, like, one real temptation as well is when and if a friend and a boyfriend break up, for you to go down the route of like, well, I'm not going to be there for you because you weren't there for me when you started getting into your relationship, and you can cry on your own. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I've literally had that, and I've had to dig so deep to remember how I felt in a breakup and be like, would I have liked it if I had no one and I was crying on my own in my room? No, but also, did I bring that on myself? No, but
no. The absolute classic line is, well, when she comes running back to me. Do you know what I mean? It's like
when she comes crying back to me, who's she gonna have? She's not gonna have me.
She's gonna have nobody. I just think that is such a classic line, isn't it?
But it's like, guys, let's actually not be girls who are like that, because like,
again, it's the conversation.
And also, to some degree,
let's be honest,
it is warranted. If someone has really hurt you and literally got into a relationship, binned you off, and then, the relationship ends, that person's really upset and they're looking to you for comfort, you are warranted in some ways to be like, well, we're not friends anymore. But actually, it is like Soph's saying, let's dig deep in those moments and be like, no, how would I feel in this moment?
Or even just, rather than just going silent or just leaving it and kind of it gets a bit tense, actually just having a conversation. Like, you're genuinely within your rights to go, do you know what? You've actually been a really bad friend to me. And the way that you
kick a girl while she's down.
No, but we're in love, in like a loving tone. But basically just say, look, you've actually not been a great friend to me, but I want to still have a friendship with you. And I just want to let you know that what you did hurt me. I just want to let you know
that I am a saint.
I just want to know I'm an angel. But I think it is that thing of not just harboring those feelings. Talk about it and then try and. I just think we need to get better at just moving on.
Also, I'm not saying that you have to like come back and be their everything and like give them all the support they need.
Exactly back to how it was.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, if they ring you crying, you can pick up the phone. Like, you don't need to hang up. Or like, if you see them out, you can have a chat with them and ask them how they are, or offer to go for one drink after the breakup. Like, I'm not saying like insert yourself back into their lives and act like nothing happened. Like, of course, but like just being a bit kinder when the temptation is to just be like an ice queen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't like ice queens on this podcast.
No.
But anyway, guys, those are our thoughts.
Yeah, should we call it a day there?
Let's call it a day.
Lovely.
I hope you enjoyed this.
Yes, I very much enjoyed it.
I hope if you're in this situation that you're doing okay, that you know that you'll probably get used to the change or, the situation will work itself out. If a conversation needs to happen, have a conversation.
Absolutely.
We're all for clear communication here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have the convos. Have them.
But
yeah. We'll see you on the next episode.
See you on our next podcast episode. All right.
Bye guys. Bye.